Back-to-back exposés on the freedom struggle for profit scandal. More details on Republic on the ED investigation. Blaming Motilal Vora, the late Motilal Vora has backfired for the Congress party. The ED sources telling Republic that there's no proof so far that he alone took all decisions. It appears that Mallikarjun Kharge was questioned for being the only employee at Young Indian. That's the revelation. Just one employee in Young Indian and two shareholders. Totex is not the only firm under question. There are several dubious transactions being investigated by the ED. Republic confronts top Congress leaders. 5 specific questions asked to each one of them. Rahul doesn't take a single one. His leaders, his acolytes, party leaders try to duck every single question. As the National Herald scam or the freedom struggle for profit scam exploded, with more and more uncomfortable details emerging, the Congress party took to the streets this morning. They called it a protest over price rise and inflation and employment. But it appears that the protests were really against the crackdown in the freedom struggle for profit case. Now, here's what happened today and the details that are emerging and the different charges, counter charges as the BJP questions the Congress. Here's where we stand tonight.
The nationwide staged protests, a massive drama in New Delhi.
Rahul, is this really about GST? Is this really about GST or is it about stealing of their personal properties?
Why name Mr. Motilal Vora when he's not there?
जो इस देश में नरेंद्र मोदी जी, अमित शाह जी कर रहे हैं लोकतंत्र के खिलाफ, उसके खिलाफ हम खड़े रहेंगे, चाहिए कुछ भी कर दें, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
And frustrated replies when confronted with questions.
How rupees 50 lakhs became rupees 2,000 crores?
You are Republic TV. You will ask the wrong questions.
No, ED issue was raised by Mr. Ashok Gehlot, sir.
We are talking about price rise today. If you don't understand price rise, mehengai, I can't help you.
So we understand price rise, but the issue of ED was also raised, sir, in the National Herald case. Mr. Ashok Gehlot raised it. Mr. Rahul Gandhi raised the issue of institutions. Why this?
Republic TV can ask any number of questions. I'm not going to be...
Sir, but Mr. Rahul Gandhi raised the issue of institutions. Sir, he raised the issue of institutions. When the ED goes after you, these protests don't happen.
Obviously, you don't understand English. What can I do?
I understand English, sir. That's why I'm asking. Mr. Rahul Gandhi raised the issue of institutions. When ED goes after you, these protests don't happen.
Don't understand English. What can I do?
Sir, this is in English only, sir.
Your English is wrong.
Sir, the issue of ED and institutions were raised by Mr. Gandhi in the press conference.
But the facade of protests over Congress's so-called core issues collapsed.
We are talking about price rise today. If you don't understand price rise, mehengai, I can't help you.
So we understand price rise, but the issue of ED was also raised, sir, in the National Herald case. Mr. Ashok Gehlot raised it. Mr. Rahul Gandhi raised the issue of institutions. Why this?
Republic TV can ask any number of questions. I'm not going to be...
Sir, but Mr. Rahul Gandhi raised the issue of institutions.
वो किसको बचाते हैं? उनके यहाँ परिवार नहीं है, वो परिवार नहीं रखते. परिवार को बचाने के लिए मैं क्यों आऊंगा? मैं अपने नेता को बचाने के लिए आऊंगा. मेरा नेता मुझे बचाता है.
With the timing of protests eerily clashing with ED massive raids on Congress-owned properties and the confession by their own top leader. One wonders if all the agitations and demonstrations, clashes and confrontations could cover the hard facts in the Freedom for Profit scam. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And joining us on the broadcast this evening, starting with Dr. Subramaniam Swamy. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, thank you for joining us. We have some very, very uncomfortable details coming in. Dr. Swamy, it appears, and these are sources telling us that Motilal Vora, now both we were told Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi blamed Motilal Vora as the person who took all the decisions. But it appears now, Dr. Swamy, that there is not a single document where Motilal Vora has signed. And none of this was furnished before the Enforcement Directorate. No minutes of the meeting to prove that Vora was at fault. No evidence of the late Motilal Vora taking financial calls provided. I mean, the majority stakeholders blamed a minority stakeholder, but it appears that there are no documents to support this. The implications of that, Dr. Swamy.
Well, first, as a complainant and also a person who argued the matter himself, I have in voluminous documents, and I would like to inform your audience that when I got a summons issued in the name of Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Motilal Vora, Oscar Fernandez, Sam Pitroda, and Suman Dubey, they went to the High Court against that order, and the High Court turned them down. And then they went to the Supreme Court, all 5 of them, or all 6 of them, that is including Pitroda as well as Suman Dubey, who held no shares at all. The shares were at that time 38, the mother and son, and 12, that is Motilal Vora and Oscar Fernandez. But when the matter came for filing in the petition which I am holding in my hand was filed by Miss Sonia Gandhi, and it says in the front page that it's a matter of Srimati Sonia Gandhi versus Dr. Subramaniam Swamy. And it was in 2016. And what does she say? In this voluminous place, she admits everywhere that this is what happened. She says, for example, the deed of assignment. Now that's a criminal situation, a criminal allegation of a criminal misdemeanor, and it's been raised by the ED2 because the financing of the purchase of that assignment, what assignment? They claim they gave 90 crores to AJL. AJL couldn't pay it back, so it closed down, and then everything became dud. So therefore, they were pleased to sell the rights of having issued 90 crores to a young Indian, and she is defending it with full knowledge, because you can't file a Supreme Court case saying I know the facts and what I have to say, and they're all true to my knowledge. And she says 18th December 2010, an initial deed of assignment, that is the 90 crores being assigned for 50 lakhs. And on 28th December 2010, a final deed of assignment was signed by the AICC and YI, under which the interest-free loan given to AJL from time to time, amounting to 90.21 crores, was assigned to YI in endorsement and support of the objects of the YI by the AICC for a monetary consideration of 50 lakhs. It goes on and on, where she, under her signature, sworn signature, that I know all these facts to be true. We have evidence here, the evidence is galore. And if the ED decides to prosecute her for perjury, they can use some other false false evidence, it won't be called perjury, it will be called false evidence, then I will supply them the evidence. I am shocked to hear a board of directors, all the directors except one director, Motilal Vora,
Yes.
took all the decisions. How is that possible? So therefore, there's one fraud over one fraud. When you have try to cover up a fraud, you are bound to make other frauds.
Yeah.
So that's the situation. It's a pathetic situation to see the president of the Congress party lying like this.
So, brings me to my second question, and I'll leave it at that. Now, you know, there is a political fight, of course, there's bound to be. They're extremely nervous. And the fact that Mallikarjun Kharge was questioned, you touched upon it, the young Indian question. Now, the information that we have, Dr. Swamy, is that as far as young Indian is concerned, and it's surprising. We were told that Kharge is the only single employee of Young Indian. He is the CEO of Young Indian. He was summoned because no other employee exists at Young Indian. And we were told that he had to appear during the parliament session as no other employee was there of Young Indian. So what is this big deal about being summoned or being questioned and all this price rise, etc., this black protest that you're seeing? Do you think it will stick? So far it hasn't.
How can it, this is compared to the population of India, it's a very small number. They come to, small streets or narrow streets, and it looks, as if it's a big turnout. But it's not so. The question basically is this, that why do you want a demonstration? You may cover it up later on because you have now started saying, no, we have other issues also. But then why this issue? And I think Salman Khurshid actually said this is the main issue.
Yes, he did.
I heard him say it over your television. So therefore, we all know that it's not for the poor people of India suffering from inflation. We all know that there's inflation.
Yeah.
But it's basically to see somehow to overawe people, to say that, we can create an upheaval in the country and we can even topple the government if necessary.
Yeah. Dr. Swamy, thank you for joining us and putting the story in perspective for our viewers. The facts are staggering, how 5 lakh rupees turned into over 1,000 crore of assets. Let me introduce now Aparajita Sarangi, National Spokesperson and Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha of the BJP, Priyanka Tibrewal, lawyer from Kolkata, Varun Singh, a senior journalist, joins us, Sandeep Singh, author, columnist, Dr. Sumansi Raman, political analyst, Namrata Kothari, political analyst who leans towards the Trinamool Congress, Ashutosh Mishra, a senior journalist, and Intikhab Faruqi, a leader of the Shiv Sena, is joining us. Okay, let me start with Aparajita Sarangi, and Sumansi Raman can respond. Aparajita, we just heard the Home Minister there a few minutes back. The Home Minister spoke and Yogi Adityanath followed it up a few minutes later. Now, a few leaders of the Congress party admitted, including Salman Khurshid, and he was very categorical in saying that, he was asked a question whether they're all out in the streets to save the family. He said, we're not here to save the family, we are here to save our leaders because our leaders save us. It's in black and white. It's a very, very clear statement that was made. But the Home Minister says this was also timed to the Ram Janmabhoomi, 2 years since the Shilanyas, and do you think that was deliberate? Why are you saying that?
A couple of things. Kindly give me some time.
Yes.
A very good evening to all of you. I think there is echo. I cannot talk.
Okay, I'll just try and fix that. What you can do is you can just pull your earpiece aside for a few seconds till we fix it, and then you can speak. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. See, I will definitely like to mention here that the Congress put up a good performance today on the streets of the country. I wish they had put up the same kind of commendable performance in Sansad. I am a Lok Sabha MP, and I have been seeing what they have been doing in the Lok Sabha and even I have heard from my friends in the Rajya Sabha, they had been wanting discussion on price rise, inflation, and of course they wanted discussion on GST, etc. Honorable Finance Minister spoke at length, and at that point of time they did not have the courtesy enough, or rather the patience enough to sit and listen, and they staged a walkout. During farm laws also, when the debate was on for the passage of those farm bills, I vividly remember Prime Minister Modi had got up in his chair and had asked Rahul Gandhi ji to mention the points where he wanted some kind of correction in the bills. And at that point of time also, they did not have facts and figures. The Congress party staged a walkout. So I think this is a party which loves walkouts, doesn't want to cooperate with the ruling party. And I can tell with all conviction at my command that it's the combined responsibility of both the opposition and the government to run the parliament. Right. So the productivity rate is going down, and they want the productivity rate to come down. And let me tell you, Prime Minister Modi's government is there to take the nation forward, and for that matter, we need the parliament to function properly, which they would definitely not like. This is one part.
Yeah, okay.
Now, number two, we have heard Honorable Finance Minister, he has been candid enough. I think the echo is on.
Okay, I'll fix that. Okay, Aparaj.
He has been candid enough to speak about the reason. The reason is, today is 5th August. Today is the day when Honorable Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir, Ram Mandir. And I tell you, an issue which was 550 years old was sorted out thanks to the Supreme Court, and it was a momentous day for us. We started the construction of the temple work, and then today is the day which they chose to have this done, and also that too in black clothes. What does it donate? I think there is conspiracy, and I'm sure it is after proper
You're saying it's planned?
Discussion among themselves. It's deliberate on their part to do it on 5th of August. And third, and very important, which I think the entire country is intelligent enough to understand. ED is behind them. ED
Can I get the first response to what you're saying,
Aparajita? Them, and of course they are trying to flex. They are trying to flex their muscles before ED. What is this? I think nobody is above the law of the land, not even the Gandhis. Maintenance of law and order situation is the prime responsibility of the government, and everybody has to fall in line. Everybody has to maintain law and order, cannot go above the law of the land. So I think they should have cooperated with the Enforcement Directorate, and that's what we expected from a party which had been, running this country for so many number of years.
Aparajita ji from Sumant. Yeah, let me get Sumant to respond. Sumant.
Can I respond? Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, a few things. I think the way that the police actually handled today's protest was condemnable. The way Priyanka Gandhi was treated with an elbow of a police person on her neck was completely unacceptable. And I think that the police have to be really held responsible for the awful manner in which they handled the protest. Second, the very important point about this second anniversary of this Shilanyas, even the media had forgotten completely about this. It came to light only because it was picked up in the evening. I think Yogi Adityanath or somebody made that statement, and then people started, because there must be a search to find some kind of a communal angle to every story, even if it is an economic story or a story related to the ED, that this Shilanyas second anniversary, I'm sure most people in this country would not have, remembered that today was the second anniversary. But anyway, now that an attempt somehow has to be brought to
You're calling it a spin?
Look, absolutely. It is clearly an afterthought. Otherwise, they would have said it in the afternoon at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock when the dharna was actually in full swing, not in the evening at 6 o'clock. It's clearly an afterthought. Somebody has sort of figured out that this would be a good way to spin this whole story against the Congress and say that they are wearing black shirts on the anniversary of the temple.
But why won't they take any questions on the scam, Sumant?
And that will help. Yeah.
So, Sumant, can I ask you a question? Okay. The optics aside, the politics aside, right? Let's talk about the facts of the case, okay? Because it's interesting, but that more and more details are coming out.
But you agree it's an afterthought. This whole linking to Shilanyas is an afterthought.
Okay, I'll take you up on that. Okay, fine. You can debate it with the BJP. But on the facts of the case, why do you think they're nervous? They're not saying anything. They're not denying anything. They just don't want to talk about it.
They have been fully cooperating with the ED. Has Rahul Gandhi refused to go to meet the ED? He has been questioned, 60 hours, 70 hours. What is there to question? God only knows. But he has been questioned. Faithfully, he has attended that. Sonia Gandhi has attended every single time that in the recent times she was called. She has gone. There is also a statement after her first questioning. She apparently offered to continue, but the ED said, that she can come later. Then the ED issues, quote unquote, sources come and say that she felt tired and because of COVID, they asked her to come another day. Look, Niranjan, the bottom line is this matter is in court. This is an investigation which is going on. How much longer will you string this out? How much longer will you string it out? 10 years after the case, after the event, and 8 years or 12 years after the event, 7 years, 8 years after the case was filed, you want to raid Young Indian's office. Suddenly you discover there are documents on the floor. I mean, come on, yeah.
I think the Young Indian...
How much longer is this going to go on? Will this go on
wasn't
like this, periodically calling them,
Young Indian wasn't raided. I just want to add one point there just to correct you on that part. I think Young Indian office was sealed as a technical issue because Kharge was not available. And I think there is some technical clause because of which it was sealed. I don't think... Okay, I'll let Priyanka respond to Priyanka Tibrewal. And I think Warren also wants to come in.
At 12:30, when Parliament is in session, Kharge interrupted his duties in Parliament.
Priyanka is a lawyer.
Excuses they're trying to give.
Okay, let Priyanka respond to Sumant Raman.
Whatever excuses they are trying to give is of no use. See, because whatever show they are doing on the roads, all this display is nothing but complete psychophancy. This is not solidarity, because we exactly understand when the congressmen spoke today and they said that they were trying to save their leader. Now it is as simple as that. You scratch my back and I scratch yours, because there are others whose names will come out. So they are trying to save their leader, the only leader who's now left out. So leave apart that, they're questioning so many times that this is political vendetta and all. It is all palpably absurd, because when they went to the Supreme Court clearly said, recently we have the order of the Supreme Court on the ED and the working of the ED. So they should be at least satisfied with that. Because you see, it is the uncomfortable truth which hurts the most. They do not have answers to the 38% of shareholding which they were having. Now today they are saying that everything was done by one person who's nowhere to defend himself. So they are trying to blame everything on him. But what about the 38%? So now uncomfortable questions which will hurt them are being answered. I saw that someone was also saying, that Republic TV will have a number of questions to put up, and they do not have answers for that. Mr. Chidambaram will not answer, because he very well knows that what answers he has got from the Honorable Supreme Court. Like I said, when two of them, Mr. Kartik Chidambaram and Mr. Deshmukh, when they went to the Supreme Court, what did the Supreme Court say? So they have received exactly the answers which had to be answers on the course of the investigation which is conducted by the ED.
No, Priyanka, we had 5 questions. I'll tell you, first of all, it was very interesting because there was a news conference called. My reporter Anuj was outside. Anuj and Madhurima and the Republic Bharat reporters were also there because, for the network they were reporting, different reporters, but not a single reporter. Not a single reporter was allowed or has been allowed for several years now. And we don't get it, but it's okay. We're doing our job. We wanted to ask them 5 questions. I'm repeating those questions, okay? And then I'll get in Ashutosh Mishra. Now, we wanted to ask the Congress party, and that's exactly what we did. In fact, we couldn't ask them inside, so when they came out, we tried throwing those questions to Rahul Gandhi. And when we asked the question to Rahul Gandhi, there's a fantastic sequence. Let me just play the sequence. I'll speak over it. Rahul Gandhi is there, and there's Chidambaram, there's Karthi somewhere there, and then there are younger leaders, right? And the moment we ask Rahul Gandhi that question, that's the Chidambaram sequence. I'm just playing the Chidambaram sequence. Let's show the Chidambaram sequence where we ask the question. Chidambaram jumps in. He just jumps in and he sort of takes over this entire exercise and he doesn't let us answer. This is the sequence where Aishwarya tried to ask him a question, for example. He looks at us, he looks at our mic, doesn't say a word. This is Karti Chidambaram. Several questions asked, doesn't say a word. He was courteous for a change. He didn't say much, but he said, "You're haranguing me." Very long sequence. In fact, Abhishek at least threw 20 questions. Look at this. This is the sequence where Abhishek tries to ask the questions. Rahul Gandhi, right next to him, Digvijay Singh, next to him, Chidambaram, P. Chidambaram, the former finance minister. So, when you ask a finance minister specific questions about ED, now, what were our questions? Our questions that we wanted to ask are also on the bottom of your screen. You can look at that. We wanted to ask Ashutosh, how did 50 lakh rupees turn into 2,000 crore worth of properties in a scam fraudulently pulled off, allegedly involving Rahul and his mother Sonia? How did they manage 50 lakhs into 2,000 crore worth of properties? Now, this is something that's established. Properties have been attached in different cities, including in Noida, in Haryana, there are some properties. And, those are the pictures. We wanted to ask them whether they blamed the late Motilal Vora for all transactions. If yes, why didn't Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi do the same while Vora was alive? Because it's a case like, Suman said, going on for many years. And given that they hold the largest stake in Young Indian, did Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi not sign off on the use of shell companies? Because it's not just Dotex, there are several companies. Two more questions we wanted to ask them. We wanted to ask them about a paper loan when 90 crore was allegedly given from AICC to AJL, which is a matter of record. We wanted to ask Rahul Gandhi, did Rahul Gandhi or his mother not know about this transaction? And the last question we wanted to ask them, allegations of usurping properties meant for a nationalistic cause, meant for freedom fighters originally, that's why AJL was launched. Did Rahul Gandhi not know about the monetary benefit from all these transactions? Very plain, simple questions we wanted to ask. We haven't been allowed into Congress news conferences for several years now. Ashutosh, these are legitimate questions that we wanted to ask. Why do you think they don't want to take that question? Ashutosh, and I'll bring in Varun.
So, Niranjan, you remember what the CGI said about media trials and kangaroo courts. Let's not do that on media. If something is already sub judice, let the courts take its own law. Now, today, instead of talking about inflation and price rise and how the common man is suffering, we are talking about why ED is how ED is being misused.
That is what they were trying to do today.
They will connect this protest with everything but the actual thing, which is how the common man is suffering under Modi rule. And why will they do that? Because they don't have the answer.
Did you hear what Salman Khurshid said?
And they know that they don't have the answers. So to divert attention, they will talk about everything else.
The Congress people and workers and Karyakartas.
Now I want to ask Ashutosh, he's got a poor video.
Made their life. It has raised the repo rate. It is talking about inflation. And the figures have been...
No, I have a bad video with you, Ashutosh. I'll fix that video. I'll fix that video with you, Ashutosh. Ashutosh, I'll fix the video with you. I have a poor video with you. I'll just fix that video with Ashutosh because his frame is freezing, his audio is not clear. Let's fix that. Namrata, you can take that question. Namrata, you can take that question, right? It's the media's right to ask questions. But why won't they take that question? Why do you think they're so nervous about this? And by the way, Salman Khurshid himself has admitted. He has admitted that they were there to save their leaders. He said it, we didn't say it. Salman Khurshid said it. So this thing about price rise, everybody knows is a sham. Sandeep and Namrata.
Saving their leaders doesn't mean that they are nervous. They want to save their leaders from the allegations or wrong allegations, or we can say that. Because till anything is proved in the court of law, we can't...
You can say that, but you can't say it's for price rise.
See, there are lots of, movement is going on right from the farmer protest to unemployment and everything. So, without proving anything, how could you label the person that person is a criminal, fraud, whatever it is? If you're pointing someone as a fraud, then other finger is also pointing at you also. Even someone has said scratching the back. Same thing, they are doing the same thing. So, we have to understand that in a democratic society in which we are living, we have the right to protest. And if anyone will protest, and what the government in power they are doing, they are, CBI, ED, they are doing that. they are, like whoever tried to protest or oppose anything, which is
okay,
correct.
absolutely
I'd like to
okay,
make a point here.
But
Niranjan,
your
can I
reason
make a
for the
point?
protest should be clear. You cannot protest under the shield or cover of something else. You're protesting. You say that we are protesting.
No, but
against
nobody.
the
One minute.
You say that we are protesting to save 2 members.
No, Priyanka, Namrata, nobody's called them names. 1 minute. Nobody. Priyanka said you can't label them anything. Nobody's called them names. Who's called them any names?
Yeah.
Has anybody called them names?
Niranjan,
Yes,
just
Sandeep. Has
one
anybody called them names?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't think anybody has called them names. Yeah.
Nobody has called them names, but yes, it is true that Congress is really spoke. If you look recent raids by ED, whether on Partha Chatterjee or Sanjay Raut or Nawab Malik or Anil Deshmukh, they all are in jail and they haven't got bail. So yes, Congress is really spoke, and that is what Salman Khurshid said today. If you look at it, today's protest, it was simple in one line. If I say in Hindi, कांग्रेस अपनी काली करतूतों को काले कपड़े से कवर करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, and they failed miserably in that. If it was a protest against price rise, they would have done 2 weeks back. The petrol prices were very high. Why they didn't do a protest 2 weeks back? Now petrol prices are down. All other prices have come down, and today they think of a price rise protest. And if you're talking about employment, why employ Mallikarjun Kharge? If you want to have only one employee, give a job to someone else. Why employ a member of parliament as a CEO? If you are so worried about employment, give it to someone who is unemployed. You get off all the people, a member of a parliament, to give him a job as a CEO, and no one else. And you are running a crores of worth company. So let's, what Congress is trying to do on street is not matching with their deeds. That is very simple. And what Amit Shah ji said, what Yogi Adityanath ji said is perfect, because they could have protested any other day. They could have protested in any other color. They chose today, and it was all over social media, and many newspapers have carried it that today will be the anniversary for Ram Janmabhoomi Shilanyas and removal of Article 370. And it was a part of Congress appeasement policy that they chose today and to come out in a black press. It's plain and simple as that.
Okay. Intikab Faruqi. Now you see, we also access more detail. I'll bring back Aparajita and Sumant as well. Now look at this, okay? This is what we've accessed this morning. We had the full facts of the case. Now let me tell you how it happened, right? In 5 lines. The stunning takeover, okay? The ED has said, yeah, Ashutosh, I'll come to you. Okay, Ashutosh can take this. Ashutosh, we had a poor audio line, you can take this. ED has said, and these are their words, Sonia and Rahul fraudulently took over commercial immovable properties. Took over more than 800 crore of the Associated Journals Limited. This is just one of the cases. Takeover was by incorporating Young Indian having a share capital of 5 lakhs. So share capital of 5 lakhs, but took over properties of 800 crore in one part of the deal. Usurped, that is, the properties were usurped by taking Hawala entry of 1 crore from a shell company in Kolkata. And the whole process of takeover of commercial property was completed within 3 months. Ashutosh, can you deny the facts? Now, you can question, you can say it's been ongoing for years, you can question the raids, but can you question that this has actually happened?
So, the answer here is that if what ED is saying is what the things which is written on the paper which is written in the court, then today Amit Shah wouldn't have been raising questions about Ram Mandir. Reference to Ayodhya and Ram Mandir is an effort to communalize a political struggle. And that's what we are hearing today. And I was just hearing someone who is associating black, and black is the color of the cap worn by the parent organization of BJP. So, associating black with evil, are they saying that their parent organization is evil? Bad intake? I'm sorry to say that. It's plain and simple that today, finally, when RBI has nailed their line, it has spoken about high inflation rates, and all this hogwash about there not being price rise. What was the answer of Nirmala Sitharaman in the parliament? She spoke about how GST collections have gone through the roof. That is what people are talking about. How GST is a burden on common man. They are stealing from the common man and giving it to the rich through their infrastructure push and all those dose that they give out to their crony capitalists. That is what they want to hide. So now they are trying to criminalize the issue. Now they are trying to hide behind ED. If ED is so sure, why talk about Ram Mandir today? You could have simply gone to the court and be done with it.
Yes, Varun, what are you saying, Varun?
I'm saying, every time and again, the people from the Congress and their supporters and those who are too close towards the Congress, why are they behind businessmen? What is crony capitalist? These people are creating jobs. These people are working under the...
Who take away jobs?
So who's crony capitalist? Mister, let me answer your question. Niranjan, one of the panelists,
Okay, don't speak over each other. You'll get enough time. Yes. Okay, let's avoid speaking over each other, please. Yeah.
They are just getting richer by the day.
Can I please answer, Mr. Ashutosh?
Okay, Ashutosh's line is once again, it's a little choppy. I'll fix that video once again. Yes, Varun is coming in and Intikab hasn't spoken. Yes.
Niranjan, one of the panelists spoke about how the police manhandled Priyanka Gandhi, alleged. But we have seen how the police, when the Congress was in rule, manhandled
you didn't see the video.
Arnab Goswami. Manhandled.
No, that's okay. You don't have to get us. It's okay. You can't compare us to them. It's fine. It's okay. We don't.
No, absolutely. But for 48 days, he says alleged manhandling.
Jail over here. How the police has been doing it, we all know. But coming to the question about...
No, if they do it, it's democracy. But Varun, how can you say that if it's democracy, Varun, if they do it? Please.
Absolutely. Democracy dies when you speak against Congress, when you do anything against Congress. That is the biggest problem in this country. But democracy doesn't die when a person like me who comes from Bombay's Chawl is sitting over here and talking. And, democracy is exactly letting them protest near the president's office, and they were released in 4 hours. 4 hours. All these leaders were released in 4 hours. That poor girl Ketki Chitle stayed in jail for 48 days for nothing, for just a comment. And here we are talking about democracy. This is nothing but an attempt to save their leader. As Salman Khurshid, you know Salman Khurshid, he wouldn't say a single word if he doesn't mean it. I give it to a congressman. And the Congress has lost ground. They do not remember. They do not remember that today is the...
No, but did you hear what Rahul Gandhi said? On the point of you saying them losing ground, a very interesting comment was made in Intikab. Rahul Gandhi actually said this. There are 4 quotes I have, okay? He said, we can win election if we controlled institutions. He actually said it. He said we can win elections also if we controlled institutions. Did you hear that? He also said our fight is against India's infrastructure. And he also said all of India's institutions are compromised. And he said it carefully. He said all of India's institutions have been compromised, they've been captured, which is an open attack on the judiciary.
Yeah, I can understand his feelings as what his mother is going through right now. Those are his words, what he feels like. But one thing I would like to tell you, since the time our country got the freedom, we have fought many battles, from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to Mughals, from Mahatma Gandhi to the Britishers. But whenever it came to the ladies, I think in mark of respect, they never attacked, in any ladies. I'm here not to support to any lady or anyone or any party leader, but I just want to say at this time, Ms. Sonia Gandhi, she is not so physically fit, and at this age, as she has already lost her while serving the country, she has lost her her husband, her mother-in-law, and she has suffered a lot.
Doesn't give
so I think there is some respect.
That
there should
doesn't
be some
give you the
respect
freedom not to abide by the law of the land.
Okay,
that doesn't give you any
can I flip the argument? Let me flip. Priyanka, let me flip the argument. So what did you expect? 1 minute.
You will not be booked under the sections of the law.
What did you expect, Intikab? Okay, let me flip it this way. What did you expect? What sort of treatment did you expect, or do you expect the ED to give for someone who's under the scanner?
See, ED officials, I'm not saying they are doing anything wrong. If someone does wrong, they have to inquiry on people, they have to do the proper, they are doing their job. But I think at this point of time, as you know, there are many other cases also in which they should focus also, and they should look into the matters which are pendings also. But I just think at this time, the cases which are pending and focusing on other matters like Sonia Gandhi, and right now on matters like Sanjay Raut also, whether he and also.
So you admit that it wasn't really about price rise, right? Today was not about price rise, right?
We have a high respect. We have a high respect for the lawmakers. We have a high respect for the ED department officials. We have respect for the CBI, and whenever there is an inquiry, people should cooperate. We are not saying
are you
that,
from the Shiv Sena Shinde faction or Uddhav Thackeray faction? Uddhav Thackeray faction, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, right.
Okay,
that is true.
Okay.
I am from the Mr. Uddhav Thackeray group.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll let Aparajita respond to you. Okay. Aparajita.
Niranjan, that's a weird argument which I cannot at least follow. That if someone has attained an age, or if someone is
Yeah, Aparajita can go first. Okay, Aparajita, go ahead. You can respond to... basically, the Shiv Sena spokesperson said that you should give better treatment.
See, the fact remains that the Congress had been flexing muscles before the ED today. Number one. And number two, they were protesting against the actions of the ED. So this was the basic reason why they did. And of course, what Honorable Home Minister said, I reiterate, it's the Ram Janmabhoomi Shilanyas Divas, and that is why they chose this particular day for this turn. Now, it is also a question of Congress's relevance in the country. Let us try to understand the kind of predicament they are in. See, let us have a larger view of things. Now, it's a question of their relevance in the country. They are absolutely getting meaningless with every passing day on the political map of the country. Now, I'll give you a data. Right from 2014 till 2022, there have been 50 Vidhan Sabha elections, assembly elections, and Congress has lost in 41 of these 50 elections. So I think they are low on confidence too. Now they have to show to the world that they are also existing. And very rightly said by one of the panelists, it is absolute psychophancy which was displayed on the streets. Now when Chidambaram ji had been investigated, Karti Chidambaram come a couple of times by the ED, these Congress Karmis never had this, show of love for Chidambaram or Karti Chidambaram. So I fail to understand why they should be running after the Gandhis like this, Gandhis who have brought them to this level. Today they are on the streets, they are not able to kind of stand up with facts and figures in the Sansad. See, there is a difference between Sadak and Sansad, which Congress must understand, all the opposition parties must understand. On the Sadak, you can do anything. You can cross the barricade, you can push a police person, whatever you may do. But you just want media attention and you go ahead with it. But in Sansad, you have to be armed with facts and figures, which the Congress people cannot do. Maybe they don't want to do and they are not able to do. And that is why they have to take recourse to the streets. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate today. And you know what?
Madam, do you remember the number of sessions
in the
when
Sansad,
BJP was in the opposition where Parliament did not function?
The hearts of the people of the country.
Niranjan.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sumant. Yes. Of the people of the country.
My question is,
good performance in the Parliament.
Does the BJP spokesperson not remember the number of sessions that got washed out in Parliament when BJP was in the opposition? 1, 2, imagine the number of, and on issues like 2G scam, remember?
I am coming to that.
Remember 2G scam, how many sessions? Colgate, how many sessions?
Whenever
what happened
Madam
to 2G case after that?
Stood up,
quietly,
whenever Arun Jaitley ji stood up, there were facts, there were figures. We never behaved in the manner as you do today, just staging walkouts. And whenever you open your mouth, there are no facts and figures.
Madam,
that's unfortunate.
Yes,
very poor performance
the
in the
Parliament from 2007, 8, 9, 10, it's all available. Please show it to the Honourable Member of Parliament.
With me, seeing this
Please show it to her. I don't think she is aware of it.
Never comes to the Lok Sabha. Hardly comes to the Lok Sabha.
No, but if it
Your
was about
leader
price
does
rise,
not
1 minute,
come
1
to the
minute. If
Lok
it was
Sabha.
about price
No,
rise,
Niranjan.
yeah.
He is in a sleepy
BJP
mode.
never disrupted or staged walkouts in parliament when they were in the
And
opposition.
the problem
Please,
is,
there
he's deviating
Madam,
from the central
even on
concern.
YouTube there are videos, madam.
The debate
Please
is,
Google and
the
search on
debate
YouTube.
Today is
You will get all
on
those
your
videos.
performance today on the
Also
streets of the
about what
country.
the late Arun Jaitley ji said about parliament disruption.
What kind of
You should
performance
see all
did you
that,
put
madam,
up there on the
please.
streets? I wish the same kind of commendable performance would have been there in the parliament. You know, our nation would have gone forward. We would have passed many number of bills, and you would have shown your intelligence on the floor of the house. You did not. You know, never come with facts and figures. Your leaders keep sleeping half of the time. Madam
if it
Sonia
was
Gandhi
about,
hardly comes.
it's
The
very
gentleman
interestingly
comes,
timed.
but half of the time he's in a sleeping
No.
mode.
Can I ask them a straightforward question? Can I ask them a
And
straightforward?
it's interestingly timed.
Niranjan.
Yes.
It's
No. Do you think they're
timed.
anticipating trouble?
Absolutely right.
Okay, Aparajita,
ED
you know,
is
you're beating around the bush.
interrogating.
Aparajita, why don't you say it? Do you think they're anticipating more action? Basically, Aparajita is trying to say they're anticipating more action. So, Sumant, this is a preemptive strike. Are they anticipating action? They may be anticipating action. There could be action because we heard the raids are incomplete. Perhaps there's going to be action.
Niranjan, let's be very clear.
Incriminating documents have come to light.
This is a process
ED has
which
the
is
evidence.
being played out purely for the media, to take this message home and to divert as a diversionary tactic. So I'm sure, I have no doubt that there would be raids, more raids in the following days, maybe arrests as well. I don't doubt that these are on the cards. I don't think anybody in the Congress party is under any illusion that this is not going to be dragged out for as long as possible. So there will be, and I'm sure, possibly raids at the residences would be the next step. Depends on whichever is bound to create more media, hype.
I don't know.
That's
See, the thing is, not a single panelist today has spoken about the facts. Ashutosh, do you want to talk about the facts of how many people were cheated? Perhaps this was originally meant for freedom fighters, right? No one's talking about it. Nobody, not a single Congress leader wants to talk about it.
It's a scam of rupees 2,000 crore.
And even Niranjan, the BJP doesn't want to talk about it. It is talking about Ram Mandir because there are no facts with it which can nail the Gandhi. The BJP is afraid
Because
of Sonia Gandhi.
ED is doing
Sonia
its
Gandhi
job.
has defeated BJP thrice
We
in
have
the
full
past.
faith
Not once. Thrice in the past, she has defeated BJP. And when you talk about how the administration has been compromised, the best example is just a ruling in Madhya Pradesh, where the court said that what happened was that in a panchayat election, the Congress person was elected. The collector nullified the elections and by lottery gave that panchayat seat to the BJP. And the court has said that this person is not fit to be the collector. And we can see in BJP that there are a lot of former bureaucrats who join it, become MPs and ministers. That is where these are the moles, these are the sleeper cells of BJP, which over the years have been
any bureaucrat joining Congress. Congress never had seen a bureaucrat joining Congress party. This is the first time you saw something like that.
Judges who have, when they were in power, when they were in judiciary, they praised Modi. And after retirement, they have been given places here and there. So
remember what happened to the judge
very serious
who gave the judgment in favor of Indira Gandhi?
Ashutosh. No, Ashutosh, you talk about media trial, you have to be very careful about... you say media trial, you like to say media trial, but you have to be careful about what you say about the Supreme Court. These things may go unchallenged on... No, you can't do that, Ashutosh. Please, I request you, don't, I request you. You can say whatever you want on social media, but please don't do it here. You can't question judges and say judges are also bought out. If that's what you're trying to say. Okay, Varun is saying something. Yes, Varun, what are you saying?
I'm saying after complaining about businessmen, I don't know what is their problem with bureaucrats. They had a bureaucrat joining the Congress who became the Prime Minister.
I have a bad line with Ashutosh. Ashutosh, I really very poor audio line today. Very poor audio and video line with you, Ashutosh. Okay, very poor. I can barely hear him. Yes, go ahead, Varun. Last one.
Niranjan, I was saying, I don't know what is the problem with the Congress and the supporters. They were first having a problem with the business community. Now they have a problem with the bureaucrat. They had a bureaucrat joining them who became the Prime Minister.
They had a problem with Supreme Court 2 days back.
They have a problem with
they had a problem with Supreme Court 2 days back. They put out a release with 17 signatures. They had a problem with the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, the Congress losing ground in Maharashtra. Today the results of Gram Panchayat elections in Maharashtra was announced. Congress came down 5th. The Shivsena leader cannot even Intaka Paruki, his party, the party whom he is supporting, Uddhav camp, it is below Shinde camp. Way below Shinde camp. These people have lost touch with the ground. He says, oh, maa ko bichari maa ke takleef mein. What about those maas who have been troubled for all these years? Rightly pointed out, I don't know whether Mr. Ashutosh knows about history or not, but in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, a land was allotted to AJL for building a research center for Jawaharlal Nehru, a library and a printing press, and that land is now being usurped for building a commercial building. That matter has been raised by no other than but a BJP leader in the house. So please, people from the BJP might not be aware what's happening on the ground, but as a journalist, we keep a record. We do not forget that 5th of August is the day when abrogation of 370 took place. 5th of August is the day when Ram Mandir Shilanyas happened 2 years ago. And this day, as rightly pointed out by the Home Minister and Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, the Hindus and Muslims have come together and they accepted the Supreme Court judgment. But the Congress today, what they did cannot be forgotten. And it is, I don't know what world these people stay. Since morning, the social media has been buzzing about the same thing which the Home Minister and the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh has spoken right now. Inflation during Manmohan Singh, the great economist who was our Prime Minister, when he left in 2013, it was 10. Since the last 8 years, it has been only in single digit, and we know what are the reasons. Yes. The RBI governor has categorically stated that we do not want to. And
Just lost the line. Okay, I have to end it at this point right now. Aparajita Sarangi, Priyanka Tibrewal, Varun Singh, Sandeep Singh, Sumant Raman, Namrata, Ashutosh and Intika. Something tells us that even the Congress party is anticipating something in the next few days, and I think the story is going to continue. Thank you for joining us. The debate coming up with Arnab, unmissable tonight at 9 p.m. Stay tuned.
In the CBSE 2022 boards, the toppers for classes 12 and 10 are from Amity once again. At Amity, we are privileged to educate brilliant students and express our gratitude to our teachers and school leaders who passionately work for the success of our children.
Why is it becoming about enforcement directorate? How did 50 lakh rupees become 2,000 crores with the Congress party? You should be able to speak about it, Karthi. I have no comments. Karthi, you should be able to speak about it. How did 50 lakh rupees become 2,000 crores rupees party? Karthi, Congress party should be taking some questions.
Why name Mr. Motilal Vora when he's not there?
After Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha and Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, Congress General Secretary K. Venugopal underlined the upper house of the Parliament was in session and Kharge was taking part in a debate when he was summoned by the ED, reiterating that it was an attempt to suppress the voice of the opposition.
हम तो वेलकम किया सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं दैट इज नथिंग दैट इज नथिंग वी आर सपोर्टिंग इट शुड बी पास्ड यूनानिमसली लेकिन
Troubles seem to be mounting for the National Herald and its owners as the Bhopal-based building has now come under the scanner of the Madhya Pradesh government, and the MP government claims the National Herald building in Bhopal is being misused and also hinted at stealing it.
देखिए कांग्रेस जो है राहुल गांधी जो है
वो एक तो चोरी है और ऊपर से कह रहे डरेंगे नहीं, ये अपने आप को देश के कानून से ऊपर समझते हैं, ये अपने आप को राजा समझते हैं भारत का।
After the Enforcement Directorate sealed the Young Indian office of the National Herald House in New Delhi, instructing that the premises must not be opened without prior permission from the agency, Congress called a meeting of all Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha MPs at the Congress Parliamentary Party office to discuss the future strategy of the party. Citing the Delhi High Court and Supreme Court's order in the National Herald case, BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra slammed the Congress for protecting the Gandhi family. He also slammed the Congress party and its leader for their remark, "No more plea but war now," over the sealing of the Young Indian office with the Congress-owned National Herald building in the national capital.
स्वाभाविक रूप से उसमें इस प्रकार का एक व्यवहार, ड्रामा, और आज सुबह यह कहना कि अब याचना नहीं रण होगी, रण मतलब युद्ध करेंगे, अब याचना नहीं रण होगी। नहीं, आप ये बताइए, पहले तो कह रहे थे सत्याग्रह होगी, अब कह रहे हैं रण।
Panic Congress spills the beans over nationwide protests on inflation and unemployment. Senior leader says they were protesting to save the leader. The massive freedom struggle for profit expose on Republic stuns the Congress party. They won't take a single question from Republic. Not a single document pertaining to National Herald property has Motilal Vora's signature, is what ED sources are saying. Did they try to pin the blame on him and get caught doing it? Was Mallikarjun Kharge the only employee at Young Indian, and is that why he was quizzed? Startling details tonight. Dotex is not the only firm under the scanner. It appears that many dubious transactions and many shell firms being tracked. As Republic TV asks multiple Congress leaders, not one of them takes the question specifically on the freedom struggle for profit scam.
In the CBSE 2022 boards, the toppers for classes 12 and 10 are from Amity once again. At Amity, we are privileged to educate brilliant students and express our gratitude to our teachers and school leaders who passionately work for the success of our children.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है, पर नामुमकिन नहीं। अब फायरवॉल टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम आग से बचाए।
Why is it becoming about Enforcement Directorate? How did 50 lakh rupees become 2,000 crores with the Congress party? You should be able to speak about it, Karthi. I have no comments. Karthi, you should be able to speak about it. How did 50 lakh rupees become 2,000 crores rupees party? Karthi, Congress party should be taking some questions.
Why name Mr. Motilal Vora when he's not there?
After Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha and Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, Congress General Secretary K. Venugopal underlined the upper house of the Parliament was in session, and Kharge was taking part in a debate when he was summoned by the ED, reiterating that it was an attempt to suppress the voice of the opposition.